Yes, hi. I am calling this number because I saw it on a bathroom wall. Seeing if you're Brandi.
I'm Brandi Lukas, and this is Brandi is Going to Hell. My taste in music is all over the shop, and it's the driving force behind this show. I will be bringing you music updates and chats with artists that you won't hear anywhere else.
The only true currency in this bankrupt world is what you share with someone else when you're uncool.
So I decided one day to pick up the guitar and I said, whatever the first thing I play is going to be me. It was so funny because the first song that I ever recorded was a track called Down to the River, which is on my first album. And that was the first thing I played that day. That intro riff. And that was it. Ever since I was like, I liked it.
I'm Brandi Lukas, and that was Simon McBride, a guitarist, singer, songwriter, and producer from Belfast, who has also played guitar for Don Airey, Ian Gillan, Snakecharmer, Andrew Strong, and Sweet Savage. In this episode, Simon chats about being a child guitar prodigy, being in bands and touring since he was 16, and finding his own voice with his solo career. Simon also discusses new music on the way and touches on his drink of choice. Greetings, Earthlings. Thank you so much for smashing that play button. I am so grateful to take you on this musical journey every 2 weeks. It means the world to me. This week marks episode 19, and I'm stoked to have Simon McBride on the show. It was super exciting to have Simon in the flesh, but over Zoom, for this chunk of time. Up until this point, I got to know Simon in passing through FaceTiming my husband while they were on the road together in the UK and throughout Europe. There's this inside joke referenced in the beginning of our chat for context, and I may be completely alone in this thought and opinion, but I can't stand the song Africa by Toto. Judge me, do whatever you want. To each their own. But in my opinion, Hold the Line is way better. But it has been Simon, my husband Mike, and their friend Dave Marks' goal whenever I'm in their presence to make playful jabs at me any chance they can. Anyway, hold on tight for a few minutes before I jump into it with Simon. You know the drill. I chat about new music that I love. You can listen along to all the music that I've referenced on my show via 2 5-star playlists that I created just for you. I've got the Brandi is Going to Hell New Music I Dig playlist and the Brandi is Going to Hell My Dope Guests playlist. You can find these playlists on Spotify by searching Brandi Lukas Airey or on my website, brandyisgoingtohell.com. Let's hop into it. Hailing from Victoria, British Columbia, Art Deco's sophomore album In Standard Definition left me incredibly impressed at first listen. Sparks meets Bowie, but for millennials and Gen Z. Long Island's Jeff Rosenstock surprised released Ska Dream, a ska rework of his 2020 album No Dream. I didn't listen to No Dream going into it, but I can say that I dig both, having listened afterward. These albums make me want to dance. Give them a whirl and let me know which one you prefer. Leave it in a comment box or post a podcast review. Shake it up. I think I prefer the ska version, by the way. Dumpstafunk released their first full-length album in 7 years, and thank goodness they did. Dumpstafunk is a 5-piece funk and jam band from New Orleans spreading love and face-melting guitar solos. Their latest album, Where Do We Go From Here, features special guests Marcus King, Trombone Shorty, and Charlie Tuna. London's 4-piece blues/rock and roll/soul band caught my attention with their sophomore album Mojo Skyline. John Drake's vocals make the band stand out among other young rock and roll bands, and the band as a whole has me engaged across the whole album. Their ballads even turn into heavy jams. Sign me up. London-based producer, pianist, and MC, Alfa released his 4th full-length album, Bringbacks. It's a jazzy, warm, and thought-provoking trip. I know that sounds very general, but just give it a listen and you'll understand why I said that. And now, it's time to dive in to my chat with Simon McBride. Over the past year and some change, he released 3 EPs, and we're expecting a new album this year. Be sure to check out simonmcbride.net, where you can hit up his contact form for lessons and also head to his shop for some next level guitar lick inspo. In the meantime, follow along with Simon on his Instagram at Simon McBride Guitar for his lick of the week and all incoming updates. There's lots to come. Simon mentioned that this past year was one of his busiest, as he can't just do nothing. Here's Simon McBride on Brandi is Going to Hell. Hi, Simon.
Hey, how's it going?
Okay, how's it going with you?
All good, I'm all good. You know, sun's up for a change, which makes it very pleasant in this country.
Awesome. So wonderful. We're finally chatting one-on-one. We usually say hi in passing over FaceTime while you're on a tour bus backstage in Europe.
Yeah, that's pretty true. Or yeah, I think the last time was I think Dave and me were serenading me with Africa by Toto.
Yeah, you know how I love that song, right?
Yeah. I was tempted to play it today, but I was like, no. Okay.
I love you for that. That's great. Cool. Happy belated birthday, by the way. We're both Aries. How about that?
Yeah, there seems to be a lot of people that I know have their birthday in April. It's like another friend of mine has had hers the day before mine, and then my son's birthday is tomorrow, and then there's a few other people, and then it's yeah, we're all Aries babies.
Yeah, it's a lot of heated conversations, probably.
A little bit.
Funny. Cool. Well, I'm so appreciative that you're joining me to do this, and I guess we can just roll right into it. Lots of ground to cover.
That's just it.
Cool. So between March 2019 and October 2020, you released a 3 EP series via earMUSIC. The
Yes.
first one being Show Me How to Love, second 100 Days, and the third one titled Trouble.
Yes.
And they're each a collection of 4 songs.
Yes.
So, is this collection of songs grouped in any certain way? I know that there are some covers in the mix and some of your originals that have been plucked from past releases. So I'm curious about your selection.
Well, the whole story of the EPs was they were never really supposed to be released, to be honest. It was kind of more of an advertising thing from the record company's point of view. So, and it was just really me. I just said, well, to be honest, I haven't released anything since 2012, under my own name. And I was like, what's the harm? Just stick them out there, So, the idea was to do, 2 covers on one original from the album, which will be out this year. I think it's coming out in May or June time this year.
Oh, great.
Then a live track. So that was made up the 4 songs. Like picking the covers was the hardest thing in the world because I'm very fussy when it comes to covers. I don't normally do covers because I don't want to play a cover that I can't do justice, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to pick a cover. For example, I would never pick a Soundgarden track or something because I just can't sing to Chris Cornell. I never would try to. So it's always very hard, to pick covers. So, but I sat here with Dave Marks and we both went through, I don't know, lots of different songs, all different artists. There's some, interesting artists thrown into the mix, and I was kind of going, really? No. But it was funny because we did one by there's a track called Love Song by The Cure.
That one caught my attention. I love that one.
Yeah, it was such a weird song choice because Dave he brought it to my attention and I just went, nope, not in a million years. Because when you listen to the original, it's like, and I was like, no, definitely not. Because it was more of a, I don't know, it was really more like this keyboardy synthy thing, and then I don't know, when I played that, I just had this idea. Play it slow and then, but then go for the whole Gary Moore thing. Because when you slow the actual melody, the little cheesy keyboard melody down, it's actually really lovely. When you play it on a guitar, I decided to use that whole approach of Gary Moore did with like Still Got the Blues and kind of thing, that big soaring lead ballad thing. And that's how that one came about. It was from me going, absolutely not, to it's quite like this. So you just never know with cover songs, and that's why we tried lots of them. And we tried, like, there's demos on my computer of lots of other cover songs that we tried, and
you really like Ryan Adams.
Ryan Adams, that was another interesting song choice, because it's a funny story, because on tour in my own band, we would, Dave would normally have Dave's the bass player, Dave anyway, but he would normally have his iPhone on, or iPod or whatever, on his playlist of songs, and it was always the same songs. every hour and a half on the road, you hear the same songs.
Oh God, that would annoy me.
And this Ryan Adams song was always on there, and it was like, and he said to me at the start, and I was like, "You're having a laugh, aren't you? You've made me listen to this for 9 weeks on the road once." But again, it was this sort of thing. I listened to it and I went, okay, Ryan Adams, he's a great singer and great songwriter and all that, but it's not out of my range vocally. It's always to do with the vocals, which for some reason for me is, I wouldn't, as I said, I wouldn't take a really gifted vocalist like somebody, Chris Cornell, who can way up here all the time, where I don't have that range. Whereas, like, okay, Ryan Adams is like, okay, he's in my ballpark of vocal range. So, and I think the next day, I think I was listening to like some sort of I think it was Fleetwood Mac, and it was just that typical. I think it was it was not the new Fleetwood Mac, as you want to call it, the older Fleetwood Mac with Peter Green and stuff, and they had that track. I think it's called "Man of the World." I don't know, but it has this like really low kind of drum tom thing going on, and I was sitting there going, "Light bulb, that would work over that song," and it turned out really well, So that was a good one. I like that one. I'm very proud of that one. How it turned out.
That's fun. So these covers, when you say you sat down with Dave Marks to go over these songs, were these recorded? So obviously you released one of the EPs in 2019. So when did the recording of the other covers happen? Was it over the pandemic? Were they already in the can?
They were done in February 2019.
Okay.
We did this session in Chameleon Studios in Hamburg, and it was initially we were supposed to be in for like 3-4 days. I think it was 4 days in the studio. To record drums, bass, guitars, vocals, everything from scratch, right? Of just the cover songs. There was like 8 of them, because there's another EP which still has to come out first before the album comes out this year.
Ooh, okay.
So there's 8 cover songs in total. So we went in to do 8 songs in 4 days, basically. But it wasn't 4 days, because the record company had other ideas. They wanted to shoot lots of video stuff too. So it was really 2.5 days. And the other time was doing video. And I was like, so it was, but it was good. It was fun. We all knew our parts. We did a lot of pre-production before we went to the studio, which is the key thing if you are going to go into the studio these days. You have to do your pre-production, because, studios are big bucks. So we all knew what we had to do and play, and we then did it, nailed it, done. I did most of the vocals in one morning.
Great.
And that was it. But that was all done February 19. So because that was the plan. It was we were to release lots of the EPs throughout 2019, and then 2020 my album was supposed to come out, but obviously, the world just fell apart.
Yeah, of course. So your original songs on these EPs will be on the final product, the big album, right? Yes. So those won't be singles though on the album, will they? Or are they just kind of like handpicked for these EPs? They're
just kind of handpicked for the EPs. I haven't spoke to the label yet about singles or what they're going to release. It's just a weird, situation to be in, because I'm releasing an album this year, and it's probably the worst year you could release an album because nobody's doing anything. You can't go out and support it. You can't go out, so it's all just kind of, fly by the seat of your pants kind of a stuff. Go, okay, we'll stick and see what happens, So, like I'm already gearing up for album number 2, which will be out obviously next year. So from all of a sudden me not releasing anything since 2012 to releasing lots of stuff, which is great,
Okay, great. So who makes up your band on these recordings?
The band and the recordings, it varies.
Okay.
Mostly me, but
yeah.
But no, Dave Marks, he plays bass on all of it. So and Dave had a big hand in helping me, kind of produce the thing as well. So, which was good. Drummer wise, I used 2 drummers. I used a guy called Johnny Finnegan. He plays with Don Airey.
Oh, yeah.
So Johnny played on all the original stuff on the album. And I have another guy who does a lot of the touring with, a local guy called Marty McCluskey. And he's great. He played on all the cover songs. He played the drums in that. So it's just weird the way it worked out. It's, I think it was easier for us to rehearse with Marty here, because I was in Northern Ireland and Dave was in London, but he flies back and forth all the time, and Johnny lives in London, so it's Dave was over for like several weeks. We went, okay, let's just get together and rehearse, and they're both great drummers. It's just like, I'm very, very blessed that I can choose between, this one, maybe use this one or that one, So, as far as the rest of the musicians, there was a few other guys on it. There was there was a couple of backing vocalists, a couple of I can never remember the names because I didn't really book them. When it comes to that part, I'm like, I don't know, whatever. There was a girl called Emily Holligan. She sang some vocals on Trouble with me, and then there was a guy Mitchell Ems. He sang some backing vocals too. It's funny because half the backing vocalists are better than me singing, so I'm like, okay, just turn them down, No. So, Mitch is a phenomenal vocalist. He's did a few gigs with Dawn, replacing Carl whenever Carl can't do it and stuff. So, and then a few keyboard players on it, mostly London-based guys. Just got them to do some keys. And there's not much keyboards on the album, but anything it was, we just got a few session dudes in. That was it, really, to do it. So.
Great. So I'm really looking forward to your album coming out then, because I love listening to your originals. So pumped for that. Nice. And yeah, of course. And just hearing the originals, some of them were on past releases, I've noticed, that were on your EPs, and just hearing how you've grown and changed and molded over the years too is just awesome as well. It's like a little time capsule of where you were, in 2008 or whatever, and now. So that's really remarkable to see in time.
Yeah, it's like I haven't released anything in a long time, but I think it's been good for me, to be honest. I think it's been, I say I haven't released anything. I've been on, obviously stuff with Dawn and various things, and I did some stuff with a band called Snakecharmer. So it's all been kind of good for me not being, the center of attention all the time, because it's quite hard. It sounds like it's it sounds weird, but it is quite hard when you are the center of attention and it's all, about me, whereas when you're just in somebody's band, all I'm doing is I'm just playing guitar. It's like, yeah, it's great. Oh, you want to write guitar parts? That's it. Or now I have to write guitar parts, vocal melodies and stuff like that and all that,
Yeah, so, it gets a little bit more involved, right?
So, but now, it's funny because when I think back to whatever it was, 2008, and that, I was doing everything myself. I was writing everything, recording everything, mixing everything, mastering everything. Everything, and it was too much. And even when I listened back, I was like, I can tell it's all me.
Oh, okay.
It's I don't know. It's just a certain sound, but when you have other people's minds or input into songs, it's just. it just gives other colors, other people's vibes about things. Like, so I find it now very difficult to write a song without a songwriter with me.
Hmm.
I don't know. I've just got so used to writing songs with, and it's funny. I use a guy from here most of the time. This guy called Nathan O'Regan. He's a singer songwriter, and he's incredible. He's an unbelievable singer as well. But he writes great songs, but he's not a guitarist, and he doesn't give a damn about guitar, which is the great thing. And that's why I like him, because he was like, I was going, I got this riff, this really cool riff. He's like, don't worry about that. Let's get we want to focus on the actual song content and make the song good. And he said, you can do all the riffs and all that nonsense afterwards. And I was like, that's kind of an interesting way. Okay, I like it. And that's basically how that album was formed. There's a few songs I wrote with Dave Marks and another guy called Joe Webb, which were more. It's funny when you write with different songwriters. You write with a singer-songwriter. It's all about, the words and the vocal melodies. That's the main thing. When you write with other musicians, it's all about the guitar. The guitar and the music and stuff, and the vocals kind of, not that it falls, into second place or anything. It's just weird the way we do it. But yeah, it's, for me now, if I'm starting to write, album number 2, and I've started doing some stuff on my own again. I'm like, nah.
Yeah. Oh, wow. So when you're with a songwriter, then, so when you're writing these songs, the lyrics, are they coming from personal experiences, or is the person in the room helping you kind of like get the ideas or feelings out of your head, or is that?
Yeah, it's a little bit of everything, to be honest. It's a little bit of, real life situations that have happened in the past or whatnot, and there's also a little bit of stuff where it's just like,
yeah,
you have to.
Yeah, you can only write about so much stuff, right?
Yeah. The thing about it is, with the songwriter, it's the guy Nathan. He's like, he always seems to try to pull the information out of me about my experiences. It's not about his experience, because he doesn't want to write a song about his experiences, and me singing it. It's sometimes they find it weird where it's like, I read a song about my experience, you sing it. Whereas if I write a song about my experiences, I know it, and it's the end goal of it all really is kind of funny, because if I write a song about my personal experience and I go to sing it live, I'll sing it better. I won't forget the words, which I always do. I'm the worst at remembering words. If anybody goes to see me live, I do apologize in advance, because they maybe hear the verse 3 times and it's the same verse lyrics. I'm just going, can't remember. And this is my own stuff. Can't remember the stuff. So, but yeah, it's always an interesting experience writing with different people, and it's become more of a necessity for me these days, just to write songs. It's easier, and you sometimes you get a song and it's like, well, the best songs I find on my album are the ones we write in like 5 minutes. Like that Trouble, that song Trouble, that we wrote that in 10 minutes.
Wow.
Done. It was just me on an acoustic guitar and just back and forth ideas, and that was it. Just done. So and that's what I like. Whereas if sometimes you're sitting on your own, you're like, you can't go back and forth with a wall, It's like, what do you think, wall? No, okay, nothing, So it just gives you a bit more, well, I don't know, just more freedom. It's
easier. Back and forth, creative flow. Have someone to bounce off of. It's great. Yeah. It's like having this conversation right now. We bounce off of each other.
Where it goes.
Yeah. So in 2020 and 2021, you were a part of a few releases. You were a part of Darby Todd's solo album, Reality of Zeros and Ones, Don Airey and Friends Live in Hamburg. You also were on a documentary about Liverpool football called The End of the Storm. Yeah. And you were busy with releases of your own. So do you recall any other projects you worked on, or do you want to elaborate on any of the above that I mentioned?
Well, yeah, last year was, it's probably my busiest year, to be honest, considering we're all locked down. So I'm the sort of person I can't sit in my hands and do nothing. So I was like, okay, I need to do something. So I planned, my initial plan was I did an instrumental album, which will be out at some point. I don't know when. The record company have it now. So that was my plan. I had these bunch of instrumental songs which I wanted to just record, and finally, some of them I wrote when I was 18.
Wow.
And so I just wanted to put down a collection of these instrumentals, and just it's something the record company will put out at some point. So I did that. That took me about 3-4 months off and on. A bit here and a bit there, and actually Darby Todd, he played drums in most of it, which is great. So Darby and I, we did each other favors. I played his album, he plays in mine, and that sort of thing. But yeah, Darby's album was great. It's mental. He asked me to play on a few tracks. There's one I obviously did the Jimi Hendrix track, Manic Depression, which is kind of funny because I'm singing it, and you have Justin Hawkins from The Darkness or whatever singing backing vocals, and I'm like, should it not be the other way around? No. It's like, oh, okay, cool. So when I play guitars, and so it was a lot of fun to do that one. And then what else did he do? There was some mad stuff with like off time signatures and things like that, which were fun. It's always fun doing that kind of that side of music, And that album turned out really, really well. He had a lot of great players on it, and Darby's a great guy. Unbelievable drummer, and that was fun to do.
How did you guys meet? That's so random because, like, obviously through Mike, I'm a Darkness fan, right? And Justin from The Darkness was in a band with Darby Todd called Hot Leg. So yes. How did you two meet?
Darby and me, well, basically we met on when did we meet? I think I can't actually.
Just drunk at a pub.
Yeah, I think I met him somewhere on a gig or something like that, or but then he's played on a few things. He played with Don with us a few times as well, and I don't know. I actually can't remember. It's all a bit of a blur.
Yeah, it's so cool how you're all intertwined and you all know each other too, because it's such you. Me, Mike, and Don all come from very different kind of backgrounds, but we're all like, oh wait, I know that person, or like to some degree. So that's so cool. I love that.
It's the world has become a very small place these days. So it's especially with like this or Zoom or Skype or whatever it is. It's like
the internet. No, yeah, it's super cool.
Dreadful internet that we all love and hate.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. So you have that, and also throughout 2020 and 2021, you've done this really awesome lick of the week on your socials, and you've been just super active on your socials as well, doing demos, throwing up some fun covers with your own flair, even having little Zoom sessions with Rob Harris. Yeah. So that's really cool. What usually inspires you for your lick of the week? Is it a song that exists or something that just pours out of your guitar brain?
Yeah, it started off very well and very constructed, and now it's more desperation. It's like,
well, you got me fooled. So,
no, it's I do this thing because it's lick of the week, but it's it started as just a bit of fun, and then it was like, okay, people actually like this. I have to keep doing this. So, but I most of the stuff I come up with, 5 minutes before I record it on Instagram or whatever it is, So, and it's generally stuff that I've done before in the past or whatnot, and because at the end of the day, music's music to me, and I like to share anything that I know with people because I'm not one of these kind of secretive musicians. There's some musicians out there like, don't look at my guitar. I don't want you to see what I'm doing, and I'm like, yeah, just take it all. I don't care,
I love that. No, and it really connects people too. So that's such a nice thing that you do, because I'm sure, if someone's sitting at home, that really you reached out to him in the way that you can, and that's a beautiful thing. So I enjoy it. I don't know anything about guitar, and I just like listening and watching. So
Well, yeah, that's the thing. It's for all the people just to get it,
yeah.
maybe use it, get a kick out of it. Because I've done it, watched other people and go, well, that's kind of cool, that lick or whatnot, and then I'll go away and learn it and stuff. So it's like, but if you have it right on your phone and slow down,
Well,
Mike thinks
whoa.
it's not slow enough. He sent me a message going, "Can you slow that one down even more?" I'm like,
Yeah.
and I did. I sent him a personal video of me playing it ridiculously slow.
Yeah, that's funny. He does work on it when during the day. So that's super cool. Also, so you had this gap that you mentioned earlier between 2012 and 2019 for solo releases. So what are some highlights that kept you occupied? Because I know you had, 2 children. You joined Snakecharmer in 2016, replacing Mick Moody, played guitar on Don's solo albums, and toured with Ian Gillan. So
that you pretty much named all the highlights.
Yeah, did it? Okay. Whoops.
Yeah, well, to be honest, after my last album, which was out, I think, came out in 2012, I did several tours, for a couple of years. And that brought me up to around about 2014, 15. And then I just kind of felt I was going around and around on the merry-go-round. There's just like little, it's like a blues circuit in Europe. And I always say, if you get on that train, you can't get off it. You know what I mean? So it's like you play the same venues, the same people every night. And
that was solo. Yeah.
Yeah, it was
okay.
solo. Yeah, and I was just like, I don't know. I want to break out of that a little bit. And so I didn't really do much for a while. I had 2 kids, obviously, but which takes up a lot of time. But I was just doing lots of different clinics and stuff for like PRS guitars, so I was traveling all around the world doing, I was, sometimes I'd fly out to like South Korea for one day and do a clinic and fly home. And then the next week I'll be in Bali, in Indonesia doing stuff. So I was busy doing lots of stuff for, my endorsers and stuff. And then obviously playing with Don a lot.
How did you meet him?
I met Don through PRS Guitars, really. Because Don has this little, I say little, it's not little, it's a charity gig that he runs every 2 years in his hometown. And I remember it was Gavin from PRS. I think Don was looking for somebody to play on his little festival, and Gavin recommended me to Don, and that was it. I came along. I played, it was Johnny Finnegan actually on drums, and a guy called Alex Meadows, and we had never met before, never alone played before. So the first time we actually met each other and played with each other was like on that stage. No time for sound check or anything. It was literally, all right, how's it going? yeah, right. And I was like, but it turned out really well. Anyway, so ever since that, it was just all downhill from there. From Don. So. But Don's a lovely guy. I have, the utmost respect for that man. He's played for everybody, and he's just such a massive talent. Even still, at Don's young age that he is now, I still see him on stage, and he just blows me away. And I was like, I wish when I'm that age, I want to play a quarter of like that, So, but yeah, he asked me then to play on one of his records. I can't remember what it was called. It was the first one. I can't remember what it was called now, but so I played a few songs, and that was it. And then he asked me to play some live shows and that, and that was it. We just got on like a house fire, and that was, that was just everything. We just got on really well, and man, poor Rob Harris, because I kind of stole his job, because Rob Harris was doing the gig before me. So,
yeah.
So, but we're, Rob and me are cool. We laugh about it, So, but yeah, it's just Don's great, and I miss playing with him. That's one of the biggest things I miss over this whole, COVID thing. Not necessarily doing my own gigs, but I miss playing with Don and just the guys, because As I've said this to Don, I says for me doing his gig, it's really, it sounds weird. It's really easy. Technically, it's not easy. It's a bloody nightmare, on the guitar. But overall, it's just really easy because I just get to turn up and do what I do. That's it. And Don does what he does, and Dave does what he, and so on and so on. So it's a lot of fun for me. So that's one of the gigs I miss most. Basically doing that, So
yeah. And then in 2016, so how did Snakecharmer come about?
Snakecharmer, well, I was actually Neil Murray, the bass player. He phoned me. No, let me think about this. Think it is right. I know I was doing a gig in London in the O2 Academy in Islington. I think that's where it was, right? And if anybody knows Neil Murray, you could spot him in the audience from a mile off. He's just like Neil Murray, at the back of the crowd, And so I seen him at my gig, and I seen this little small fella beside him, and I was going, it's like little and large, like. So, and I said, that's Neil Murray, but I didn't see him after the gig, and then he gives me a phone call, like, it was like 2 weeks later or something. No, it wasn't Neil. It was Laurie Wisefield who called me a couple of weeks later. Laurie's the the guitar player, and it's funny when you see them both together. It's like Laurie's this size, Neil's this size. But Laurie called me, and obviously Mickey Moody had left and stuff, and they just looking. He's like a new guitarist, and I was just like, yeah, sounds like fun. Harry James is in the band. I know Harry, because I do the Don's Blues and Soul Festival with Harry a lot. And I know Adam Wakeman. He's, we and him get on very well, and so I was like, yeah, So we just did. They were doing a new album, so we did an album, that second Skin album. That was fun doing that,
Nice.
So. But yeah, it's I'm the sort of person I'll just say yes to everything.
Yeah.
Gig, okay, no problem.
Yeah, you paid. Awesome. So I wanted to backtrack here for a second. So at 15, you entered and won Guitar Magazine's Young Guitarist of the Year performance competition, and shortly after that, you had some freaking big shoes to fill. At 16, you joined Sweet Savage, replacing the band's early member Vivian Campbell. And how did they find you, and how did that all fall together?
Well, I've known the guys in Sweet Savage for since I was this height, basically. Since I was like 11 or 12, and okay, long story. Basically, what happened was with the Sweet Savage guys is when I was a kid, I was like this, kid phenomenon or whatever you want to call it, and it was just because I was very fast at picking up the guitar. I started learning guitar when I was about 9.5 or nearly 10, and by 11 I was playing Van Halen's Eruption, things like that. And then I was on lots of TV shows when I was 12, 13, 14, 15. So, and then my dad used to take me to like local gigs, and the guys playing Sweet Savage, they played like cover bands around Belfast too, and they always used to get me up. So ever since that, they, I got to know them, and and it was only really when I was 16 they then asked me, because they got a new record coming out or something. I wanted to record a new record. So they asked me would I do it. And me, 16-year-old kid, was all, oh yeah, excited.
Wow, that's so cool.
I recorded the first album when I was about 16 with them. I think it was in Newcastle, somewhere in England. But
were you part of that writing process, or were you just oh wow, great.
Yeah, there was a few old songs on that first album, like Killing Time and Eye of the Storm and stuff, which were all written, when Viv was in the band. But yeah, it was fun. I did 2 albums with them. They have a new album coming out, which I play a big part in as well.
Oh wow, cool.
It's and I think it's being released through earMUSIC too, I think. So they're still going, and I know someone's just popped up my screen. 2 seconds.
Okay.
computer style. So, and I still know the guys, like Ray, the singer, Ray Haller. He's still, I speak to him nearly every day, basically on the phone, because we have a different interest. My wife is an artist, and he's actually in, believe it or not, the art publishing world.
Oh,
you know,
wow.
so he gets on stage and sings with Metallica sometimes, and then comes home and sells pictures. So, but they're all great guys. Vib's a lovely guy too. I didn't really know him at that when I was only a kid. I didn't really know Vib. I was just, a 16-year-old kid. All I wanted to do was play guitar. I didn't care about anything, So
Yeah, and you did. And it must have been such a interesting thing being 16 and being thrown into the mix with a bunch of grown men in a metal band. So that must have been like cool, but also kind of like weird at the same time in a way, I feel like maybe.
yeah, it was a little bit strange, and it's weird now for me because I always look back. I was always the kid. And any situation that I was in, I was always the kid because I've always played, with older guys, So, and now the tables have turned. I'm like the older one, and all these kids playing with me, and I go, so it's, but it was, it was great for me. It was a good learning experience. Like I did that, and then I moved on to play with Andrew Strong from the Commitment. I did that for a long time.
It's quite the juxtaposition between metal to soul and pop songs. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the biggest learning curve for me, to be honest, because I went from being, you're in a metal band, you're kind of the guitarist at that point was always like the focus of attention. It was all about guitar riffs and solos, all that stuff. And then you go to an Andrew Strong's band, which is all soul music, and it's like the guitar is like way over there somewhere, and it was a big band. But the thing is, Andrew and myself, Andrew's a massive like hard rock fan. He like most people don't know, but after that movie, The Commitments, he released he didn't release, he recorded a hard rock album, and I have it somewhere. Like it's never been released. It's not allowed to be released. I don't know, I think it was Sony Records or something, but it is unbelievable. It is. It has Pino Palladino playing bass on it, and Brian Tichy on drums and stuff, and Andrew singing and that, and it's just like amazing. So Andrew, he just loves the hard rock thing. So we had, and it was a soul band we played in, but some of the songs got quite heavy because Andrew plays guitar himself as well. So, so we got on really well. We still, I don't really see him that much anymore. See him the odd time, but I was doing that for a long time, and to the point of then I was just like, okay, I've kind of had enough, of this. I was kind of. The thing is, when you're in a band for short, like I was in that for like maybe 4-5 years, and I was just constantly touring, playing the same stuff all the time, and I was kind of going, okay, I'm done with this, and it reached its end, and then I come home and I decided I wanted to do something that was mine again,
Yeah.
So, and I played around in Belfast, and I played different bands, rock bands and stuff like that. I tried a few different other outfits, and nothing was still grabbing me going, this is what I want to do. Like I was in this other band, like I was an original band, and we recorded an album and everything, but still it wasn't me, so I decided one day to pick up the guitar, and I said, whatever the first thing I play is going to be me. That's it.
Oh, yeah.
And it was so funny because the first song that I ever recorded was a track called Down to the River, which is on my first album. And that was the first thing I played that day. That intro riff, that was it. And I was like, and that was it. Ever since I was like, I liked it. This is kind of cool. And I think, to be honest, I'd had a bit of a, when you play in bands and there's like lots of other input in there, it can be a bit, well, sometimes it's welcome and sometimes it's just a pain in the ass, So when I'd had a few bad experiences with just being in other original bands, it was just too many cooks basically, and I just went, okay, I'm done with this. I want to be the boss. I want to be.
Yeah, you want to be the chef.
Yes, I want to, control what's happening because because in the past I was in control of what was happening, but I wasn't getting the credit for it. If you know what I mean, everybody's taking the credit for it, and I'm going, well, I'm doing all the work anyway. So
oh yeah.
What do I need you for?
Exactly. So between working with Sweet Savage, Andrew Strong, and then of course, reflecting on the bands you loved when you first picked up the guitar, how did all of those experiences shape you when you went to do your solo career? What would you say like gravitates the most in your solo work? I feel like your music's kind of like a box of chocolates though, because when you listen, it's got a lot of different elements to it.
Yeah, it's I'm the sort of person I just like all styles of music. You looking at my history, it's mostly been hard rock, but as you mentioned, I went from the metal scene into soul, which is a big difference. So I learned a lot of stuff from doing that, and then my own stuff to start was more bluesy. And I think it was just that it was also all came from like my influences of like I'm a massive Gary Moore fan, and then there was like guys like Robin Ford, and always been a Steve Lukather fanatic, and so all that just kind of filtered into one. It's as somebody once, I think smarter than me, said, we're all just a product of our influences, really, and that's really what it is. It's just I can't pinpoint any sort of artist that I go, yeah, that's what inspired me to do that. It's just everything. And even to this day, I find now my music now is more. It's I find it easier to write music now because I've had so many years of just other influences thrown in. So if all this information in my head, then I can actually just pick up a guitar and play something that's really kind of cool, or sing something, and it just seems a lot easier. Whereas back then I was, I just didn't have as many. I wasn't as varied as, suppose, if you want to look at it in regards to what I listened to. When I was a kid, I grew up in the '80s, so I was like Satriani, Steve Vai, Paul Gilbert, all Motley Crue, all the kind of hair metal stuff. That was me,
Yeah.
And that kind of tailored a lot of my playing back then too. So, but it was only really like if you had asked me, what's the difference between my playing now and back then, I would say I am not. Back then I was a shredder. Now I'm not, basically. Even though I do some of it, but it's. I just find listening to other types of music, like I listen to all matter of stuff, like it could be Chinese music or whatever, or and it's because I always pick something from that, and it's like, that's kind of cool. I wonder what that would sound like on guitar or whatnot, or different instruments like saxophones, trumpets. I love listening to the, what's he called? I can't remember the name. I'm used to some names. You'll find this out by me. Can't remember anybody's name, but all these different styles of music, and it just filters through into what I do now. So yeah, it's just everything. It's hard to pinpoint.
Love that. It's cool.
Those one thing. So
right. And in other interviews, I've heard you've been asked this, but I just love your answer. So I'm going to ask you again, because a lot of my listeners are grassroots musicians. And I thought your answer was valuable, and it might change when I ask you, but do you have any tips for aspiring musicians?
Aspiring musicians? The one I always give is just never give up, basically. Just keep going, because it doesn't matter what age you are. A lot of people get to a certain age point in their life and they go, well, I haven't made it by now, I'm never going to make it, But I always look at it from the case of, it doesn't, if you look at guys like Satriani never made it till he was like in his 30s, late 30s, like a mate of mine, Foy Vance, he didn't make it until about 8-7 years ago, and he's older than me, so, and he still hasn't made it, to the big leagues, but he's reached a certain level. So it's just never give up, just keep practicing. And that, the one thing I've learned actually from living in Ireland, and that it's no disrespect to living in Ireland or musicians in Ireland, but I find a lot of musicians in Ireland that I work with, they reach a certain level, like a technical level with their instrument, and they stop, because it suits what they're playing, like cover scene and that sort of thing, and they never try to be better. And I always say to people, if you're a musician, try to play with people who are better than you, because at the end of the day, if you're playing with somebody that's better, and you're going to feel like, all right, I need to
Some
get
work to
this.
do. Yeah.
To be honest, that's exactly how I felt the first day I walked into the studio with Don Airey. It was because I had Don Airey, right? And this is my first time playing with him. I'd never really done anything before. Don Airey, who's Don, and I had Lawrence Cottle, who played with Gary Moore and millions of other artists, and then Darren Mooney, who plays with Primal Scream, and they all played with Gary Moore. So I'm walking in going, oh crap, no pressure here, right? But I remember, and as soon as they started up, it was like, what? It was like, what's going on? It was just like a train hit me, because it's just like, there's no such thing as 100% with them guys. It's 120% all the time, no let up. And it's just like, I remember sitting thinking, going, yeah, I can do this, and I'm doing it. I'm going, I need to practice. I need to get to that level all the time, So for anybody starting or even continuing to play, just always aim higher than what you are. I've been playing 32 years now, and I'm still trying to be better. Still trying to push for that next thing. That's the key to being a great musician. And the other thing I would just say is it's more of a bitchy thing, though.
That's okay.
I always say, like, I teach some people, over Zoom and Skype, and they always ask me who the best players to learn off, and I always recommend the older players, like from the 70s and 80s. The stuff they were doing, even the shred stuff back then, whereas I find a lot of the guys on YouTube these days, it's just shred for the sake of shred, and it's just, everything looks complicated, and there's that sense of, is it real, or is it just been recorded, sped up, or whatnot? So it's like, if you learn from these older guys, like even Satriani, for example, for technique, like he plays like legato stuff, and that was his thing. But you listen to it, it's all very well phrased, so it's like melodic, and I'm going, that's the sort of player you need to learn of. The guys who were the elite, there's, that's just my personal opinion. I have nothing against all YouTubers. I get into that. That's Rob. That's how the Rob Harris and myself chat started about, was YouTubers. We said we should record this, and I went, we can't really talk about that much about YouTubers. But, it is the modern world. But yeah. Anyway, that was a long-winded answer for what to get.
No, that's great. That's great. And is there anything else that you'd like to mention? So the best way to support you, what social platforms you're the most active on, so people can follow along?
It's probably mostly Instagram and Facebook is the most, the one I'm social on the most. I have YouTube and stuff, but I'm still old school, and I'm like, it's like, I have to do this, that.
Yeah, there's a lot of different avenues to do things, for sure, but you really nail it. You're very active on Instagram, and like, that's great. I'm sure it must be a shock for you in a way, because you didn't grow up with, social media.
Like I didn't grow up with internet or anything. We didn't have internet in my day, and so it was. I've always been on internet since it came out. I've always been, very, clued up on technology and stuff. Like Instagram, I only really started using it last year.
Yeah, you're killing it.
It's a whole change of thing for me. I find, for the social media stuff, you basically have to put your life online. And I'm going, there's some people do that and they put their whole life on there, and I'm going, I don't want to do that, because I have my personal things, and I don't want that all online and stuff. But I try to keep active as musically as I possibly can with the social media stuff, because I understand that's the way forward. That's the way it's going. And we can all bitch about it and moan about it, but you just gotta shut up and get with the times. That's just the way it is.
Gotta adapt. Right, to survive, I guess, in a way. But it's great, because then new people can discover you, and that's a wonderful thing. So
yeah, it's great. It's for me, it's always I always seem to be in the back foot. People have been have thousands of followers and stuff on Instagram, and I've literally just broke the 5,500 or 5,000 mark. I'm just
that's great. No, that's great. it's not about the numbers, it's about the quality and the consistency, and you're nailing it. So that's wonderful.
Well, I'll keep trying, so just keep doing it. I have to keep remembering. My biggest problem is like, what the hell should I put up today? What'd you do today? Nothing, right? I have to make stuff up sometimes, but so that's why I just start playing guitar and stick stuff like that up, where I see some people on social media and they literally have their whole day on the stories, and they're like,
yeah, like me. Whatever.
Right. But it's an amazing thing because people love watching that stuff. It's like when Big Brother, the TV series came out years ago, I just went, uh-oh, that's the way the world's going. Whether we like it or not, people love to watch other people doing stuff, and it's, it's fun. Sometimes it's a bit, people putting up pictures of their dinner and stuff really winds me up. I go on, I don't really want to see your spaghetti bolognese. It's like brilliant, or is pizza? You're just making me hungry. Just face it, like, come on.
Yeah.
But
So,
it is
cool.
good. It's good, so.
Nice. And the best way to support you, are you going to your website?
Yeah, go on my website. I have a few things. I do lessons, obviously, so they just get me through my website through that, or I have on my website a book, which is basically lots of different licks and guitar licks. There's a book on there as well. So, and then I have a new subscription teaching thing, which is coming out very soon.
That's great.
That'll be it.
Learn from the best.
Yeah, I might even sign up to it,
Nice. So what happens next is I like to ask some rapid fire questions just to, loosen the mood a little bit.
Okay.
And let's just jump into it. Musically, what are some of your guilty pleasures, or what do you love listening to that might throw some people off guard?
I like the Eagles.
Is that weird? Is that off guard? Maybe in England, or the UK.
Well, maybe when you're in the rock scene, people go, the Eagles. Really? They're okay. Well, yeah, there's nothing really else weird. As I said earlier, I listen to like Chinese music and stuff.
Yeah.
Classical music and like soundtracks and stuff. So people may call that weird. I don't know.
I gotcha.
It's just there, and I'm not going to give you a long-winded answer for it. It's a rapid fire, Simon. Come on.
All good. What's your drink of choice?
Brandi, thanks to Don Airey.
No, that's cool. Nice. And what song or songs would be played on a loop in hell? You know mine, so.
Worst song? Probably some of the, I can't remember the name of it. There was this song like years ago, and it was like this frog, right?
Oh God, I don't even know what that is either. I know what you're talking about, though.
It was really annoying. It was like ding 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 ding. It was like,
that's definitely a hell track. That's actually probably worse than Africa by Toto. That I think about it.
I would agree that.
Oh God. So that's all I got for you, Simon. I had a lot of fun doing this, so thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me on.
And there you have it. Simon is the man, right? Thank you so much for checking out my podcast. I am so stoked that I'm building this little community of music nerds, celebrating awesome music and putting talented artists on a pedestal. Up next on May 12th, I'll have guitarist Nicholas Engelin of In Flames, We Sell the Dead, and more, so keep your ears peeled for that. If you stuck around this long and you don't know I exist on the internet, you can follow me everywhere at Brandi Lukas. That's Brandi with an I, Lukas with a K, except on TikTok, that's Brandi is Going to Hell. And if you want to keep up with all my other stuff, the playlists I mentioned earlier, the blog posts where I house all of my in-depth details of my podcast, you can head to brandyisgoingtohell.com. I'll leave you with a random thought, a random but productive thought. You don't attract what you want. You attract what you are. Take a step back and think what you are. Trippy, right? Until next time, bye-bye. Thank you, yes you, for listening to Brandi is Going to Hell. I have a lot more thank yous in order for making the show come alive. I want to thank Celeste Giuliano for her amazing pinup photography. I dreamed of having my photographs taken by her in order to make my podcasting dreams come to life. So thank you, Celeste, and your team for making me look like a hot mama. Thanks to Crystal Rugel for her design direction for my new logo. Spent many nights texting her late. What do you think about this? What do you think about that? And she was such a great resource. Shout out and many thanks to Ryan Hanratty at Frosted Green Productions for all video production. My man, definitely don't want to be fucking with video, and you've saved my life. My amazing husband, Mike Airey, for always believing in me and bridging the gap between me and amazing artists. I love you and you're my rock. St. Neots hardcore band Impact for the music throughout the show. You can check out their EP Strength Through Loyalty on every streaming service. My friend Gooch, aka Ryan Nelson, for always asking me when's a new show coming out. My friend Matt Young, who got my foot into the door as an intern at IndieGoot, which led me to my first career in music at Q Prime. So a major shout out goes to Doug Oswandel as well for giving me a chance and hiring me there. My dad, John Lukas, for raising me with an impeccable taste in music. And my mom, Beth Ann Lukas, for helping me be a functional adult with good credit. Last but not least, Brandi is Going to Hell is dedicated to my badass grandmom, Elizabeth Betty Fowler.